Sometimes the problem isn't the place. The problem is when you go there. And the wrong moment can ruin even the most popular destination. There are cities and places around the world that seem like the perfect idea until you arrive at the worst possible moment. Overcrowding, unbearable heat, closed venues, absurd prices, or weather that makes everything more difficult than it needs to be. In this video, we won't talk about where to travel. Everyone does that. We're going to talk about when not to go. We'll look at popular destinations that are great, but only if you visit them at the right time. And I'll tell you clearly which month to avoid, why, and when is the smarter choice. And at the end, I'll give you a universal travel hack based on real data that you can use for any destination in the world to find out in advance when is the worst time to visit, even before you buy your ticket. Paris in August, why it often disappoints. Paris is one of the most visited destinations in the world, but August is the month when the city does not show its best side. The reason is not that there is nothing to see, but that normal city life almost disappears. In August, a huge proportion of Parisians go on their annual holiday. This is an established practice in France. As a result, many small restaurants, cafes, and neighborhood shops close for weeks. Major attractions such as the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower remain open, but it is the local atmosphere, the very thing that makes Paris Paris, that is greatly diminished. For tourists, this often means the following. The city is full of visitors, but empty of local life. Neighborhoods that are otherwise bustling with people, conversations, and evening gatherings seem unusually quiet. What remains are mainly tourist areas, which are more crowded and tiring in August. Added to this is the weather. August is one of the hottest months in Paris. The heat and humidity make long walks, museum, and tours more difficult, especially when you have to wait in queues. The conclusion is simple. Paris in August is not bad, but it is more superficial. You see the symbols, but it is difficult to feel the true rhythm of the city. A better time to visit? May, June, or September, October. More moderate weather, more locals, and a livelier city. And if the problem with Paris in August is the lack of local life, the next place suffers from the exact opposite. Too many people in the same place at the same time. Dubrovnik in July and August, when beauty suffocates. Dubrovnik is one of the most beautiful places on the Adriatic coast. The old town, stone streets, and sea views are why millions of people include it on their list. But July and August are the worst times to visit if you want a real experience. The main problem is over-tourism. During the summer months, several large cruise ships dock in Dubrovnik every day. This means thousands of people pouring into the old town at once, which is small in size and enclosed by fortress walls. The result is easy to predict. Crowds, traffic jams in the streets, inability to move around freely, and queues almost everywhere. The local authorities even impose restrictions on the number of visitors to the old town at certain times because the infrastructure simply cannot cope. For tourists, this means waiting, jostling, and feeling like you are in a living museum rather than a city. The second problem is the prices. July and August are the peak of the season. Hotels, apartments, restaurants, and even cafes raise their prices as high as possible. What seems reasonable in May or October is often unjustifiably expensive in August for what you get. Add to that the heat. The stone in the old town retains heat. There is little shade, and walks at midday become an ordeal. Many tourists come to the conclusion that they spend more time looking for coolness than sightseeing. A better time to visit is May, early June, or September, October. The sea is still pleasant, the crowds are significantly smaller, and the city can be experienced again rather than just pushed through. And if Dubrovnik suffers from too many people in the summer, the next destination disappoints for another reason. The weather changes everything you imagined. Bali during the rainy season, when pictures lie. Bali often seems like a year-round dream. Palm trees, rice terraces, waterfalls, and beaches that look equally good in photos every month. But the rainy season changes the island more than most tourists expect. The period from December to March is the most problematic. The rainfall is not light showers, but heavy tropical rains that can last for hours. This directly affects plans. Walks, waterfalls, views, and beaches often become impossible or disappointing. The trails become muddy, the rivers murky, and many activities are canceled at the last minute. The second problem is humidity. The air is heavy, sticky, and exhausting. especially if you plan to be active. Many people underestimate this factor and quickly realize that even a short walk requires more effort than they expected. There is also something else that is rarely talked about: dirty beaches. During the rainy season, ocean currents wash large amounts of waste onto the island's west coast. This is not everywhere, and it is not constant, but it is frequent enough to ruin the image of the perfect beach. Yes, prices are lower during this period, but the question is whether you want a cheaper trip where much of the experience depends on the weather and luck. Better time to visit: May, June, and September. Drier weather, fewer people, and a more balanced feel for the island. And if in Bali, the weather is what can ruin the experience, the next place proves that sometimes the heat and crowds turn history into an ordeal. Rome in July and August, when history becomes exhausting. Rome is a city that promises a lot. Ancient history, architecture, food, and streets you can walk for hours. But July and August are the months when Rome is most difficult to experience, especially if you want to get to know it and not just tick off the sights. The first problem is the heat. Summer temperatures in Rome often exceed 35 degrees. The stone streets and buildings retain heat, air conditioning is not everywhere, and walking between sites becomes an exhausting effort. This is especially noticeable in places like the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, and the Vatican, where there is not enough shade. The second problem is the crowds. Summer is peak season, and all the major attractions are packed. The queues for museums and historical sites are long, even with pre-purchased tickets. Instead of a stroll through history, you often end up rushing, waiting, and dealing with constant noise. There is also a less obvious factor. Part of local life moves outside the city. Many Romans leave the capital in August, which leads to closed neighborhood restaurants and a more limited choice outside tourist areas. What remains are places geared mainly towards visitors, with higher prices and lower quality. A better time to visit: April, May, or September, October. Temperatures are more bearable, crowds are smaller, and the city is livelier and more pleasant to walk around. And if Rome suffers from a combination of heat and crowds in the summer, the next destination shows how a single period of the year can turn the entire logistics upside down. Japan during Golden Week, when everything stops working for tourists. Japan is an example of orderliness, precision, and clear rules. But there is one period of the year when even this system falters. This is the so-called Golden Week, a series of national holidays at the end of April and beginning of May. Within a few days, millions of Japanese travel at the same time. Trains are filled, hotels are booked months in advance, and prices skyrocket. Even high-speed trains, known for their precision and organization, operate at maximum capacity and often have no seats available. For tourists, this means a logistical nightmare. Getting between cities becomes difficult, popular places are crowded, and spontaneous plans are almost impossible. Museums, parks, and historical sites are filled with local visitors, which completely changes the sense of calm and order that Japan is usually associated with. Accommodation is an additional problem. Domestic tourism is overtaking international tourism, which means that tourists are often left with limited choices or have to pay significantly more for average quality. Better times to visit: late May, June or autumn, October and November. You get the same country, but without the crowds, with better availability and a much more enjoyable experience. And if in Japan the problem is that the whole country goes on holiday at the same time, the next destination proves that sometimes romance has a very short and very crowded window. New York around Christmas and New Year, when the magic costs too much. New York during the holidays looks like a scene from a film. Christmas trees, lights, shop windows, ice rinks, and Christmas spirit everywhere. The problem is that this is the most expensive and most crowded time of the year for the city. The first blow comes from the prices. Hotels around Christmas and New Year's Eve jump dramatically, often double the price of normal months. The same goes for airline tickets. Even ordinary accommodation in Manhattan becomes difficult to justify as value for money. The second problem is the crowds. Times Square, Rockefeller Center, Fifth Avenue. All the iconic places are packed from morning to night. The walks you imagine to be peaceful and romantic often turn into slow movements through masses of people. There is also something else that is often underestimated: the cold. The end of December in New York can be harsh. Low temperatures, wind, and sometimes snow make long stays outside exhausting. Many of the Christmas experiences require waiting outside, which quickly dampens enthusiasm. A better time to visit? April, May, or September, October. The weather is more pleasant, the city is more accessible, and the experience is much more balanced. Smooth transition to the next section. And if New York proves that the holidays can make a city too expensive and crowded, the next place shows how a brief natural phase can completely change the feel of an entire country. Las Vegas during major exhibitions, when the city becomes inaccessible. Las Vegas is a city that people consider easy and always open. Hotels, entertainment, cheap accommodation, and a feeling that everything is under control. But there are times when the city becomes almost impossible for the average tourist, and the reason is not the season, but the mass business exhibitions and conferences. Several times a year, Las Vegas hosts huge events such as technology, medical, and trade exhibitions. During these weeks, tens of thousands of professionals arrive at once, and hotels switch from tourist mode to business mode. Prices skyrocket. Even ordinary hotels on the Las Vegas Strip can cost several times more than normal. The problem is not just the price. Availability is disappearing. Restaurants are filling up with corporate groups, taxis and transport are long waits, and even getting around inside hotels is slow and stressful. The city is the same, but the feeling is different. More tense and less fun. This is especially disappointing for tourists who chose Las Vegas precisely because of the idea of a light, spontaneous, and inexpensive trip. Instead, they get an expensive and overcrowded city without understanding why. A better approach: if you are planning a trip to Las Vegas, always check the calendar for major exhibitions. The weeks outside of these events offer the same city, but at a significantly lower price and with a much better atmosphere. Bonus: how to avoid a tourist trap without changing your destination. The problem is rarely the place itself. In most cases, it's the timing of your visit. The same city can be a great experience or a complete disappointment just because of the dates. Before you book, check these 3 things. First, are there any major events, exhibitions, or festivals? They fill the city and drive up prices without it being obvious at first. Second, what type of visitors dominate at that time? Business, party, or mass tourism? This changes the atmosphere more than the weather. Third, compare prices for the same place a week earlier and later. A sharp difference almost always means a problematic period. There are no bad destinations. There are poorly chosen moments. The same place can be cheap, pleasant, and easy, or expensive, noisy, and exhausting. The difference is rarely in the photos online. It's in the details that most people don't check. If this video has saved you from a mistake, money, or disappointment, then it has done its job. Subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Real destinations, real advice, and no fiction. Write in the comments. Have you ever had a trip ruined just because you picked the wrong moment?